All right, we're live and welcome to the Eric Tries Too Hard podcast, episode 131 with Stephanie Joyal. How are you doing, Stephanie?
Oh shit, I'm doing really well. I didn't know you had 131 episodes.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's been a fun ride, but I think we're gonna stop at 132. Seems like a good place to to wrap it up, really.
So we're gonna burn it to the ground. Okay.
Pretty much. We might do more, but we'll see how I'm feeling after tonight. But so thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah. No problem.
So you are are you Baltimore? I always get confused whether it's Baltimore, DC with everybody in this area, but you're Baltimore based?
I live in Baltimore, but I'm actually from Los Angeles.
Okay, how long did you live there?
I grew up there, so moved out there as a baby, and then moved to DC for college. Came to Baltimore after I graduated, and was like, screw it, I'm staying here forever. This place is awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, that's actually really interesting. It's usually the exact opposite progression.
Yeah.
So why were you out in LA? I was born in LA, and that's because my dad was, I guess at the time, a studio musician, and so he had to be out there. But yeah, what usually it's not. I mean, it's a pretty big showbiz town. Was that your family in the business, or what was your deal with LA?
I was a baby, so my main concern was like, when will I learn not to shit myself? But my uncle.
Yeah, well, I don't think you had a choice, to be honest.
Listen, I'm a strong, independent woman, but no,
strong, independent baby.
My strongest baby. No, my uncle had moved out to California from Rhode Island and co-founded 1-800-DENTIST. And yeah, and then that took off. And so he any 1-800 number that has a 7-letter word, I think that's genius. That's like getting the whatever early websites that were like football.com. Oh yeah. I mean, what's great is that now that you're not constrained to like .com, .org, .net, you can get pretty much anything. My friend registered celibate.party, which I will absolutely be sending out email at. No, but so that he started 1-800-DENTIST and was like, hey guys, California is more fun than Rhode Island, so you should move out here. And persuaded my mom and dad to do so.
Oh, wow.
And my mom is in the entertainment industry, but my dad is not.
Oh, okay. What does she do?
She's an actress. She actually she's been grinding for a long time, and I have a lot of respect for that. But she just booked part on the Netflix original series Girl Boss that's coming out soon, and she just booked a part on an episode of Two Broke Girls.
Oh, awesome.
She's moving up in the world. I'm
so they're still
excited
out there.
for her. Yeah. Oh yeah, she's gone through.
Yeah.
I moved away. My parents were like, "Yeah, no, we're not moving to Baltimore."
Oh, that's awesome. All right, well, that's really cool. Okay, so you're out in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom is grinding, hustling.
Yes. Absolutely.
At the time. So, when did you first get into performing?
Oh, some would say it's a lifelong love affair.
A lot of this seems to be tracing back to when you were a strong, independent baby, but don't call you baby.
No,
yeah,
no.
Exactly.
I mean, nobody puts baby in the corner, but that's because our house didn't have corners. No.
You had a roundhouse? Wow, this is a roundhouse. This is a whole. You're painting me a real picture here.
That way, I was always just in the center, literally the center of attention, because it's there's just a radius around me, perfectly even radius. No, I started. I think the first play I did was in 5th grade, and I did theater all throughout middle school and high school. I didn't do comedy, but I watched comedy all the time. And
what was the first thing, stand-up in particular, that got you into comedy? Not necessarily doing it.
my family's really funny, and we always just did that. And I just started watching Comedy Central late at night as a teenager.
Yep.
And it's weird. It's weird when you're a 16-year-old girl and like Girls Gone Wild commercials come on, and you're like, I'm the target demographic.
Those late night Comedy Central commercials were pure lunacy.
Oh yeah. And especially when it was very weird when I would be watching it and they were like, we're kind of waiting for you to networks. Like, you're not supposed to be on stage. Like, you're supposed to be in Girls Gone Wild. And I was like, I'm gonna go. I don't need to chat with live singles. I have school tomorrow. But yeah, I guess it was just through our family.
Oh, that's cool. Well, what about any early? Okay, so you're watching any comics in particular who really like? It's funny because I remember like really getting into a handful of stand-ups, and about half of them, like looking back, it felt like early like bands I got into. Looking back, half of them, I was like, oh, I'm really proud that I was into that, and then the other half, I'm like, well, that's embarrassing. But like, who were some of the stand-up comedians, or just the specials that you remember seeing that like really you really liked?
So I would kind of just watch whatever was on. I was not curating anything with any kind of intention. I did really love Jim Gaffigan, and I got to go see him twice live in Hollywood, which was great.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Pretty early on, he had only had his first comedy special out. It was just the first album. So that was really cool because I got to meet him when I was like 15. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think he was like, why are you here? Why are you having fun? Like, why are you out having fun? You're a 15-year-old girl. And I was like, I love you, Jim Gaffigan.
And he's like, how did your voice get like that? Are you okay?
Well, that was before my voice dropped. It happens to a lot of women, Eric. I don't know if you know this.
I don't. I have a daughter. I need to start researching all of that. You know, there's a lot of things I should research, to be completely honest.
She'll develop a rich baritone, and that's when you'll know she's ready.
Nice. I hope she develops a rich Barry White tone. That would be lovely.
That would
right now she goes woo. It's pretty sweet.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
sounds like she's getting ready for Girls Gone Wild. I have some bad news for you.
Shit. Damn it. I thought she was just asking for
you want to cut that
for real? Today at the playground?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Jungle Gym. So she's only a year and a half old, but she kind of like can hang off of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Between the shoulder, and she's like, look. And our daughter's like hanging off the pole, just like real casual. And so I asked her, I said, Julie, where's your belly button? And she lifted up her whole shirt.
Oh, jeez.
And we had a laugh, and now we're not allowed back at the playground. So
right. Yeah. Well, you know, an ironic stripper is still a stripper. Just.
That's true. I don't know if she has the capacity to understand irony yet, but she definitely takes off her clothes at inappropriate times. So we'll see. We'll see what direction she's. I think she's going to be a chemist, personally. You know, or strip chemist. I don't want to, pigeonhole anything.
Right.
You know.
I mean.
All right, so let's talk about less about my stripping daughter and more about you. Did your mom being an actress influence you in any way, or inspire you in any way on deciding to take up, even at a young age, to take up performing?
It wasn't a decision I made. Like, my mom's an actress, and I'll also be a star. It was just, I think it's just naturally there for us. But watching. So all my mom's friends are about 15 years younger than her. So I grew up with the starving actors in LA who were about halfway between my parents' age and my age. And so, half the time they would, No, just like half the time they would guest house. And so I got to see how terrible it was to be like a young, struggling performer. And pretty early on made the decision, like, I'm never going to do that. That looks terrible. And then I decided to do that in the even more difficult field in an even less prominent city.
Well, you got to start small with the miserable living conditions. That's good. You can aspire to have a shitty quality of life in a big city later. That can come later. You got to perfect your craft of living off nothing in a small city before you show up in the big city.
Yeah, well, nothing goes a lot farther here, so there's that.
That's true. So, okay, well, that's actually interesting. So, that's interesting to me a lot. Is how old was your? I don't know. Whatever. I don't. How old was your mom when she came to LA? Because I'm assuming she was a little older than a lot of people who start acting, which explains the age difference in her friends, or was that for some other reason?
No, I think it was that she was just like a lot of people show up when they're 20, and she was 30.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, well, that's kind of that's interesting. How you did your dad provide for the family? You said she was grinding. I don't know if that means. I don't know exactly what that means monetarily, but you did mention that you guys were able to have struggling actors crashing in your place. Was that a fancy, big time, awesome job, or no? What's his deal?
Well, he worked for 1-800-Dentist for.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
I get.
So all
So
that advertising. Yeah, I mean, it's like
I was unaware of the median salary of a creator of a 1-800 advert, but now that the way you phrased it, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys were okay. That's pretty cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, rolling in that tooth money, dog.
That's really cool. No, I like that. That's a good setup, and that was great that she's been able to pursue her dreams. And is this like the most headway she's made in her career so far? Like these recent bookings that she's had.
I mean, there's been some bumps, like along the way. I mean, she's booked like a Coca-Cola gig. She booked an NFL, like a Super Bowl commercial a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, part of it is, yeah, I guess she's really starting to have a moment. And I totally respect that because so many people are still so
and early. So hard. Yeah,
it's so hard, and I didn't really understand how hard it was till I see her and how long she's worked. Mm-hmm. And Jesus Christ, she's worked. She's worked for a long time, and she stuck it out, and it's paying off because it's
so
cruel.
Awesome.
It's an unforgiving industry. And she's basically just like the world's greatest marathon runner. As an actress.
Yeah. No, that's what's so funny. My dad around that same time frame hits music very different than comedy or acting, but still it's the same show business type thing. It's making ends meet, but it wasn't until like last years in LA, in addition to everything else he'd been doing prior in DC.
Right.
To work on music, it wasn't until he was like in his late 30s to do his own thing as an artist, as opposed to rely on playing for other people. And even from his late 30s through his late 30s to mid 40s really like got the ball rolling on his own stuff. And he'd been doing it on his own for a handful of years, but it wasn't until like those mid 40s where he had a couple of bigger hits that kind of put him to that next level where it sounds like your mom is approaching, where it's like you can start kind of like, I don't want to say coasting because that's the wrong word, but it's like stuff starts to feel like it's paying off.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, finally,
you build some momentum.
This is where I've wanted to be at. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, like you said, marathon running, like it's just insane. Okay, well, let me ask you about you then. So you went to, why'd you choose DC for school? Was it the school or the area? Why'd you choose DC?
I chose DC because I desperately wanted to go to Georgetown. So I wanted to be in a city, I wanted to be on a pretty campus, I wanted to be around nerds, and I wanted to study languages, and I got to do that there.
Awesome.
So.
And okay, so when did you, in college, when did you start performing comedy?
Not till after I graduated. I threatened to do it for a very long time, and I made it my New Year's resolution in January of 2013, and I didn't do it all year. And then the first week of 2014, I was like, still counts, and I signed up for my first open mic. So I'm coming up on 3 years this January.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's really cool. Oh, I hear. I mean, I've had how many of my guests have been comics? I've, probably had over 100 comics on this thing, and is pretty much ubiquitous. Of I told myself I was going to do it. I actually did it, and then when you do it, you never turn back.
Yeah. Yeah,
No, just so you know, there's always a slight delay on the Hangout, so if I ever interrupt you, I'll be the one to stop, and you just keep on going. That's the general rule of this podcast. I will always shut up. Okay, all right. So, so there was there much of a gap between college and performing comedy? I don't know how old you are. That's why I have no clue how long the gap was.
Oh, yeah, it's about 20 years. So after my first marriage ended, I decided to start doing stand-up, yeah.
When the kids are off to college, it's time.
Right.
It's time to pursue your own dream, which is also a story I've had. I had a guest once tell me, he's a New York comic, and he said he signed up for his first mic the day his divorce papers were finalized.
Whoa.
I was like, oh, yeah. He was like in his 50s, I think, maybe earlier. Or earlier, later. Okay, so first thing that. Okay, so was there a moment in time where you, or something that happened that made you go, okay, I'm going to make this resolution. I'm going to comedy.
I mean, I had always talked about it, and I think just being in the adult world and being out of school and looking for other things to do with my life.
Yeah.
Sort of brought it to the surface. It just kind of floated. It just kind of floated to the surface circumstantially, and my friends encouraged it heavily.
What made you finally do it?
I guess that I had spent so much time thinking about it and talking about it, and I had finally made a resolution to do it, and had let an entire year pass without doing it.
Did you? Okay, where?
So, yeah. No, that's it.
So you just did it. You're like, okay, it's been enough. Nothing really in particular. You're just like, well, I'm doing it. Where was your first time up? One of the places that has comedy now?
It's closed now. I went down to Max Rosenblum and David Coulter's room in D.C. at the Science Club. Science Club is closed now. But that was my first mic. And then I think my second mic was at the Beatnik Bar here in Baltimore that Mark Miller and another comic were running. And that's at 22nd in Maryland. It's now a place called Picasso's.
Okay. Mark Miller was the first comic I ever had on. He was little.
Nice.
That was my first introduction to any real life comedy person. I was like, oh.
Nice.
Hi, Mark.
Yeah.
Oh, so do you just do stand-up? Do you also do improv, anything else, or is it just pretty much strictly stand-up?
Strictly stand-up right now. I made one sketch with Max Levine and Ronald James, and that was really fun, and I'm writing some other sketches. I'm this year was really crazy, and the first half of the year was really rough for me comedy-wise. And now...
In what way?
A lot of dumb stuff happened to me as like a woman in society that made me not want to be around comics. Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about, I mean, I'm not asking you to name names. I just mean to share your experience. Yeah.
It just like... what's... One of the things that happened to me was I got drugged at a comedy show, which like I don't think obviously it wasn't the people on stage, but like it was like just a dark winter, and some other stuff was going on, and just like especially getting drugged at a comedy show just made me feel like shit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That's supposed to be. Yeah, that's. Ugh. Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up fine because my partner. I essentially just thought that I was like super drunk, and my partner took me home because I was like, I can't drive because I can't focus my eyes. Yeah, I was just literally texting him like, I'm so drunk after 3 or 4 drinks, and I like couldn't. It was nuts, and he was the one who took care of me and was like, I think your mind left your body last night, and I think something was not right. So I don't think I even would have known.
The wherewithal to go, well, this isn't right. Like there's something very weird. Yeah, like that's a strong mental like fortitude to be able to recognize that.
Or you have to be a teetotaler, so the moment you're drunk at all, you're like, what's happening to my body? A teetotaler. Sorry, I
don't know what that is. Yeah.
It's an old-timey word for somebody who doesn't drink.
Okay. A lush?
Yeah. No, who doesn't? The opposite.
Oh, wait. What? Oh, a lush. You know what? All my friends are such heavy drinkers that I feel like, that I was like, oh, that's what you meant by a lush? Because they're always like hammered, so I assumed it meant like they can't handle their liquor. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
A lush is somebody who drinks a lot. A teetotaler is somebody who doesn't.
All of my friends are like Irish punk rock dudes, so yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Pieces coming together. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I owe my friend Pat a lot of conversations, or at least an apology for calling him the wrong thing. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks that you had to deal with that, because I mean, I started locally but in the same area that you're in, like this past March, and I remember seeing a lot. I mean, I've seen you around a lot recently too, but like I remember seeing a lot of you spring, definitely in the summer.
Yeah.
So I guess I missed all that the time that was not so great. But okay, so how did you kind of come out of that and keep on grinding, keep on going?
I got really mad at society and was like, you can't take this from me! You can't have this! So I just sort of started like doing spite comedy.
Spite comedy.
I'm gonna stop. I was like, if you erase my memories, I can't have any regrets. Fuck you.
I like that term, spite comedy. Yeah. So it really had an impact on your act, or however you want to, call it your act. I didn't want to sound dumb and pretentious, but
no. I mean, my act. It's my act. Yeah. And combined with a couple of other things, I sort of struggled to like feel welcome, and I think that that's something that just happens for people in comedy no matter what, but especially if you're any kind of other, like, there's that. But I decided to, it definitely changed my act. Yeah, actually, I'm rambling my way to a coherent answer here. I definitely...
No, it's okay. It's because I've seen you a bunch of times, and you have, one of the reasons I really wanted you on this podcast is you have on stage, a very clear, definitive voice.
Oh, thank you.
Which is, oh yeah, absolutely. Which is like hard. That's hard to do. That's hard to figure out, and it takes a lot of self-reflection and honesty, which can be very hard for any person, comedy or non.
Right.
But like, it definitely, yeah. So that's. I'm very curious now what your act was like the year prior, because I just never seen you, and so knowing how it is now, it sounds like, I mean, you do, and someone could reference the joke you do, and I'd be like, oh, I could, in the scene anyway, I could probably pick, like, not exactly that it's you, that'd be giving myself way too much credit, but I'd feel like, oh, it sounds like something Stephanie would say, and that is definitely telling, I don't know, something that you figured out. Did you to a realization as you started changing your style, or your acts, or is it just something that kind of like fell in, and all of a sudden you were like, almost a very realized comedian?
I think it's. Well, I'm very flattered. First of all, thank you very much. Because it's always nice.
No problem. Sorry, I stammered through all that.
No. I appreciate that very much. Because I have a terrible. The thing is, I have a shockingly bad sense of how people actually receive me. So I think part of the persona that comes across on stage is just me all the time. I think people expect that I like turn off. That pretty much never happens ever. And I never stop relaxing, and I never stop caring. I care about everyone so much, and I don't understand them. All I understand are like the psychotic things that I want and think about and make jokes out of.
Yeah.
So that I think has always been there. But I remember when I started comedy, I was like, yeah, I want to be accessible to all kinds of people, and I want to. The ideas won't necessarily be clean comedy. I'm using air quotes, but like. Yeah. The language will be clean, but I want to challenge people in different ways. But like, I'll be like, Steve Martin, yeah. People will be able to play me for their kids or whatever. And I was like, that'll be cool. And I won't just be a girl comic. And as a bunch of bullshit started to happen to me because I'm a girl, I was like, well, fuck all of that. And,
all right, back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also realized that like, I had realized that I thought, like part of that line of reasoning when I started comedy was coming from this place that thought that having like an exclusively female audience was somehow lesser than being appealing to a wider range of people. But I would say ultimately like comics there's sort of two different ways that you can measure their audience, right? There's just like the sheer quantity of people within their audience. But then there's also demographics, and a lot of comics who are famous have, maybe they're like really, really popular and they have a really high quantity of followers. But also you're gonna get some pretty visible majorities within those numbers. And I realized that like, I could probably be really successful with queer people and women. And some dudes, like there's a lot of dudes who I think like my comedy. There's a lot of dudes who don't, and that's fine. But I was so nervous about not accommodating everybody. And as society just like took a shit on my life, I let go of that. Because I was like, because there's a lot of people that don't care about me. Why am I
catering to, okay.
Yeah, and because I wouldn't talk about, I don't generally, I mean, you've seen my act, I don't generally talk about, like, my body or, like, things that I want on stage, but there's definitely a strong feminine agenda in there.
Well, that's and I think that's because you're not shoehorning anything in there. You're describing correct me if anything I say does not ring true to your act, but it seems like you're describing your views through experience life, and there are those other factors are part of that self way of looking at the world and experiencing the world. And so it comes out, but it comes out naturally. It's not like you're like, all right, get the checklist out and make sure I've hit all my agenda points. No, you're just telling your jokes the way you want to tell them, which, like you just said with demographics, you're going to find patterns, even if it's not intentional.
Right.
Patterns among topics and beliefs and what have you, just by being a person and having experienced the world.
And that's such a crazy experience as a comic, that you get this sort of like raw data of what people think about you in a way that you would never encounter in other social circles. And you start to realize the things that you fixate on that you would not in another circumstance be like, yeah, I'm obsessed with mermaids. But like doing stand-up for 3 years, I'm like, I'm apparently obsessed with mermaids. This is a thing I did not know about myself, but now I do. Like, just endless mermaid material. Just endless. And that's so crazy too. So it's like you don't really, even if you don't have an agenda, you realize that you have a secret agenda that reveals itself to you.
That's actually a very good point. That's really fun.
Yeah,
I noticed
I think we gravitate towards certain things.
Yeah. Writing music, there was one I wrote so much music for so long that I remember in college there was one like local record I put out, and a friend of mine was like, I forget the exact topic, but he was like, "Man, you're talking about X a lot," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't really know I cared about that much about it," but apparently I did. It's enough to like write half an album about the same topic.
Only X, never Y, never.
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Oh, was it mathcore? That'd be great.
Mathcore, yeah, just really, yeah. That's a different kind of X in music. For X quotient.
Yeah.
Why? Now, holy shit, the amount of mathcore. Like, I write for a site called The Hard Times, which is just the Onion, who, satire shit, but with punk.
I work across the street from the auto bar. I'm familiar with The Hard Times.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The fucking the amount of mathcore. You can only do so many jokes as a site like that. That's that big on same subject. Otherwise, it's like you're ripping yourself off.
Right.
And so it's like, when it comes to something like mathcore, which there's probably 4 or 5 truly great mathcore jokes in the world, and they will be so strict about like those they're gonna let through, because if you blow your load on mathcore jokes, it's up, you're ruined. But the amount of fucking mathcore.
You'll never write for The Hard Times again.
The middle right here again. I would love that if the guys who run that are just like dudes who are really laid back, like, no, it's cool. They're all from San Francisco. They're like, no, everything's cool. I would love if it was just like, it turned out they were all just like these really snooty, like academic types.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, this mosh pit joke is not going to do. There's no through line. Get it out. Never right here again. That would actually suck. So you're doing stand up around like Baltimore, DC area. I'm sure elsewhere. I'm trying to think. Do you have like? This is my getting older and wanting to do something like on a professional level in a creative field. So this is just my panic talking. Do you have a plan to take yourself from regular in a region to the next thing, or you're just still figuring out your act, your voice, and you'll figure that other stuff out when it gets there?
Well, Eric, I'm so glad you asked.
Jesus Christ, that voice comes out. I'm like, oh God, did I really just sound like that type of interviewer?
No, that was a preamble.
What's your 5-year plan?
Because I have basically, it's probably a decade plan that I'm calling a year-long plan. Because I am a little bit manic, but...
Hi, welcome to the club.
Hey, welcome! Welcome, we're so glad you're here! Oh my God, we're gonna have so much fun together! Do you know there's snacks and treats and also, that's the man right.
30 minutes later, you're all sitting just,
Two people are still shaking hands in the corner, like, oh, I guess this party's going to be awesome. Yeah.
1 year, 10-year plan.
Yeah, so right now I'm actually focusing on, oh my. Right now I'm focusing on.
What's a water bottle?
Oh, for real?
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's the whiniest water bottle I've ever seen.
It look like a wine bottle? That'd be insane.
Dude, but look at it from the bottom. It has the indented bottom, and it's black, and the label.
Oh, wow, it does.
Oh, well, it looks like that.
Yeah, I don't think Extreme 2004 is the name of a wine, but if it was, I would drink it. That sounds
read it. You've seen how shitty wine labels are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, so I am focusing somewhat on my set and being a huge nerd, and I want to get transcripts of all of the audio I have of comedy I've done so far. So that's about 120 recordings.
Jeez. Yeah.
Because I tend to digress. I tend to get a little caught up and digress. And sometimes I'll have jokes in my digressions that relate to pretty standard bits I have. So I want to catch them. I want to go back and recapture them. And I also need to streamline my full arcs because I tend to get pretty dense into some material. And I think I need to sit down and really intentionally write them out. Because there's some stuff, where like one word is off and it doesn't land because I'm packing in a lot of material for people. So that's my
It's good. So really, you are working on the act to let the material speak for itself. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, not good. Good plan. 10-year plans.
No.
So done in a year. I have faith in you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's like the first step.
Yeah.
And I actually found out through a friend that if you upload just a picture of yourself to YouTube with the audio, their software, their automatic captioning software will create captions of it. You can download the transcript of the captions, and then if you just like really re-listen to the video, you can edit it, so you don't have to transcribe everything. So that's gonna make my life.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really neat.
But
what?
No. So that's one step because I want to have that is part of the goal of finding out how much time I can do. I won't say how much time I think I can do here because I don't want to try and then be like, just kidding, you don't be an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I have a lot, and I think I just need to see it all in one place, codified, and that'll make me very happy. I'm also working on, so I work at Charmington's, the cafe, and they've given me license to start planning comedy there, but also running other events. So I'm going to be trying some experimental show formats. Thursday, October 13th, we're going to be doing an open mic for people's first time doing stand-up, only first-timers.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes in my crash and burn, but I think it could be cool. Doing a Wednesday, November 2nd, Ben Johnson and I will be running the Come Correct Comedy Hour, where comics will perform for 10 to 12 minutes in front of a 3-judge panel. And
cool.
Rank you, but they will give you basically feedback on your set. And we're choosing those judges very intentionally. It's not American Idol style. We don't want people to get into, but like, let's open some dialogue up about what we're doing on stage and let's get some real feedback. Because it's hard to get genuine feedback.
Yeah, it is, and that's something I've noticed with. That's something I've noticed with any time you for performers, entertainers, where you make it into a performance, you get so much more effort and honesty. Like, hey, can you help me with this? Typically, I mean, if you got friends who are like give you honest feedback, and that's great. Especially if they're friends who do what you're trying to do. But like what I found, like with the podcast, is that I openly want to talk and get to know, especially comedians, because they're extremely fun to be around. And a conversation, or these kind of conversations, show or whatever it is, because it's
absolutely.
Not. Yeah, and so but the second you go, oh yeah, it's a podcast. And I end up getting as much out of this as anybody watching the podcast, because it's just, I want it to exist as much as I hope other people want it to exist. And,
right, and I think that's something that's underrated. Curious. I think that's something that's underrated in comedy, is that creating collaborative projects, or projects that are almost like not really focused on you, but are focused on other people, can still benefit you in ways that are not like exploitative. That in the spirit of that, that's the goal of a lot of my projects coming up as well. I want to be. My other plan is to create a collaborative hopefully one night, or hopefully more than one night, hopefully make it a series, but I want to plan a collaborative night that's almost like speed dating, where a certain number of comics sign up and then a certain number of illustrators sign up, and you have an hour to create like a 5 or 10 panel comic together.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I want to practice some collaborative stuff. And that's something that's coming from myself, you know, helping to build merchandise, definitely learning from the music scene, because comedy doesn't really catch on to merch, and there's a lot you could be doing.
I say this all the goddamn time, is that musicians need to learn from comedians about making art and perfecting your craft and perfecting and listening to audience feedback and actually, because most musicians write a song and that's the song. And so it's like or they write it and they record it before they ever play it live.
No.
That's a little, exactly. But that's how music tends to work. It doesn't really work. Comedy obviously is very different. But I think comedians need to learn about the business side promoting from musicians. Because there's a lot of comedians who just like, they expect to show up and do their sets every night, gonna magically pluck them up the chain, and all of a sudden they're going to be making a living. Sure, that happens, but it's so rare. It's like in these days, and it's kind of like what you said with more niche audience, whether that's with a demographic in the typical sense of demographics, or a demographic of like, these are the people who like humor about this or that or whatever it is, you know, a very specific demographic, however you want to place it. It's those more niche audiences. And that's how everything kind of works today. Shows on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon where you're getting a smaller audience, but it still works because they're an audience who cares.
And
it really pertains to them. Yep.
Well, and it's easier to access those communities online.
Yeah, that's true.
That community maybe in your city is small, but that community internationally is much larger. And that's the beauty of it.
And that's why it's such an antiquated system to think I'm going to appeal to all people.
Yeah.
It really is just like get good at what you do, and then if you truly are good at it, there is an audience for it out there. You just got to figure out how to either compile it or find out where they're all hanging out.
Right. Exactly.
That's really it.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. All right. Well, tell me. So you essentially gave me some of your plugs. Tell me before we go. Tell me your Twitter, Facebook, anything where we can find you.
Oh, yeah. My Twitter is at Dr. Joyal. Doctor is spelled out. My Instagram is Dr. Joyal, spelled out. And right now I'm also using drjoyal.tumblr.com to post my shows to the general public.
Anything else? I'm just finding you so I can follow you.
You're right. Oh, cool. I don't tweet enough for a comic. I have. Apparently, comedy is just like you gotta be tweeting all day.
Well, that's why I love how Facebook, especially because you link it to Twitter, but Facebook has kind of taken over and it seems like because of Facebook groups, a lot more people are congregating around Facebook than Twitter in the art scenes anyway. And so, you can still gain followers by Twitter, but man, do I love focusing on Facebook. I feel like it just makes more sense. But that's just me, but I like it.
Yeah. Like it. Although I've noticed that, especially for comics and comedy writers, Twitter's a really great way to send out samples of the kind of product you offer without actually publishing your content online. And a lot of YouTubers use it because YouTube does not have a private message platform. There's only the comment threads. So YouTubers all talk to each other on Twitter.
Well, that's cool. I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Well, the last thing that I'll plug for both of us on the way out is, and this is the first time I'm announcing it, is the November 16th at the Auto Bar in Baltimore, Maryland, across from your place of work. We are having Mike Moran's album recording. It'll be awesome. He's going to headline. Stephanie is on the show, along with a couple of other good comics. I will be hosting, and it's going to be fun. We've done shows there every month for the last, 3 months now, and every time it's been really good. Like we do the downstairs in Auto Bar. It's a legendary punk venue for those who have not been there, and they put chairs where the pit would be, and
sitting in the pit.
Yeah, they put, you got to see it. Oh my god, they put all sorts of just like, they get everything that can possibly be used as a chair, and they line the pit with it because they like don't have chairs. They just like pull everything. I mean, they have some. They have like 10 chairs, but anyway. So that'll be, and then everything else is like benches and like stuff that looks like they found it in a church. Like, it's ridiculous. I love it. But so yeah, come on down to that November 5th, Wednesday.
16th.
16th. Son of a, November 16th. And yeah, so I'll be promoting the shit out of that for what day is it? Next month and a half. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I was glad to get to know you a little better. Via the podcast. But, yeah. We'll see you around, and if anytime you want to come back on to promote anything, or sometimes I do like group hangs with a bunch of comics, I would love to have you again.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Eric.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Thanks. You too. Woo!